How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the Strong Thread podcast with your friends Lewis and Jack. Today we talk about the issue of self-fulfillment, and we talk about the issues surrounding why we don't always feel self-fulfilled and what the distractions are and what we can do to start on that path of feeling fulfilled. So please give it a like, subscribe to us, and enjoy.
So how's your week been, man?
Up and down again. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, dieting, it's been good, but I haven't been sticking to the cardio, which we've obviously already spoke about, but I want to make sure, my goal now, I'm going to set a little goal with you, is to make sure that I'm doing interval cardio, which is a real good fat burner, at least 4 times a week for like 15-20 minutes, hard.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And what I think's good about this, man, is you're actually holding yourself to account. That's the main thing. You're recognising that you're not doing... Because the Lou that I would have spoken to a year ago would have been denying it and would have been saying, oh, no, actually, I've been doing as much as I can, I just can't do it. But now you're actually... It's almost like you're actually listening and you're saying, okay... I haven't been doing it, and I accept that I could have been doing it, and that's we've spoken about it on so many podcasts. It's accepting that you are responsible.
100%, and it's hard not to be honest when you look at people like David Goggins, who I feel like it's a recurring topic. We bring him up all the time because
we do.
For now, his ideology is more relevant than ever, because it's that case of always moving forward, always trying hard, always using what you... It's too easy to say, oh, gyms are closed, and but in reality, you do push-ups for long enough, you'll have a good chest workout. Yeah, that's how simple it is. If you break it down, it's all about effort.
I was listening to his podcast the other day, and he was saying it's not like he's just all of a sudden turned into this animal. He says he's gone from being skinny to fat to skinny to fat. Like, he's done it all.
Yeah.
He's been there. He's done the ruts. He's done the up and downs. Mm-hmm. But he's always got back up, and that's the thing that fucking it inspires you.
Yeah, it does.
It's like he always talks about Rocky, because for him, Rocky is what inspires him. And I think when he set the pull-up world record, he was listening to this Rocky song for 24 hours while he was doing it. Jeez. And that Joe Rogan was like, "Oh my God, you're a psycho listening to the same song for that long." That's the mentality that you've got to have. You've got to have that hold yourself to account, be that.
Yeah.
And if you can't, like we said in a podcast previously, you've got to have the people around you who are willing to say the things that you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
So not just the things that you need to hear, but the things that are really uncomfortable to say. Because it's uncomfortable for me to say, "Oh, I don't think you're doing what you should be, Lou," or "Oh, I don't think you're doing as much as you can." And it is hard for me to say that, but I've got to say it because I do believe it, and I've got to be honest. Like, you've got to hold people to account.
Yeah.
So that's the positive that we can take from it, man. We are moving forward. We're accepting things more. We're not. It's not like you turned around to me and said, "Nah, fuck off. I don't believe you."
Well, that's the reason why people have personal trainers, a coach, all that kind of stuff, and mates around you that aren't just going to blow smoke up your arse and sort of say to you like, "Oh, we said we were going to do this, and you haven't done it. Like, why not?" Sort of thing. Like, I understand that that's uncomfortable, but with the David Goggins thing, going back to the Rocky music, I've listened to some of those music tracks, and you can get so inspired with them.
Yeah.
Like, there's Rocky 4, the soundtrack in Rocky 4, man. Literally, I've done it whilst I've been running before, and you end up running like harder than you've ever run before.
Yeah.
So I can completely understand why you would listen to that.
Yeah, it's things like, so like nowadays, because we're in this lockdown now, if I go out on the bike, I'll say, right, I did this, last time I did this ride, I did it in 56 minutes. This time I need to beat that. And every time I beat it. There's not been a ride where I've gone out with the intention of getting a best time and not got a best time.
Yeah.
I've always beat it, and you always have that thing in your mind that you always push past that last barrier that you set. But you've got to you just got to keep going, keep setting them goals to smash. So
I
Mate,
think
it's good.
on that
It's good.
on that note as well, that's why having a training partner is good, because when you've got a training partner, for some, that goal is the other person. It's like a nice rivalry sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because I remember Will Smith saying that he went on the treadmill once with the intention of just doing a nice steady workout, and then someone got on next to him, and he said eventually it got to the point where he was training harder than he's ever trained before, and he was like, I'd rather die than get off the treadmill before you do.
Yeah. But I firmly believe that is the best way to train. I will always stand by. I train alone because I just didn't have anyone who'd go as early as me down here. But if you can have a training partner, just get one, because they push you more than you'll ever know what's possible in your own head.
100%, mate, yeah.
Anyway, this week's topic, because we have got a topic this week for once.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've done one.
It's been way too long.
But this week, we're talking about how you can find fulfillment from within. And what that means is that a lot of the times on Instagram, on social media, or just in general life, you see people showing off reasons why they're successful. Or I'm successful because I drive this car. I'm successful because this person says I'm successful. What you'll learn over time, when you speak to different people, is that success and fulfillment isn't something that can be given to you. It's something that you have to find for yourself.
Yeah.
So, can you remember a time, Lou, where you can compare something that you've received externally as fulfillment, like getting a trophy or something, and compare it to the first time that you felt like self-fulfilled?
Yeah, when I was kickboxing, I was like 13, and I won I think it was like the Midlands Trophy at the time, and it was like, in my category, I'd got the most points for the year, and they give you this massive trophy, and I was like, this feels ace, like, you know what I mean? I've worked hard for this, and they've got this nice little trophy saying I'm like the grand champion of the Midlands or whatever, and that kind of thing for me means a hell of a lot more than buying a brand new TV or a brand new car, where when you've got the car, you get that amazing new car feeling or that new phone feeling, and then it just goes away after 2 weeks. But stuff like that sticks with you for life. Like, I can still remember that now. I've still got it up in my house, and every time I look at it, I'm like, I actually did that. You know what I mean? Like,
but this is the thing. It's not the actual trophy that means it to you. It's the fact that you trained so hard and you did it, and it was the actions of doing it. That is what gives you the. It's not the fact that you've got this bit of gold sat on your mantelpiece.
It's the fact that the kickboxing gym that I was training at, it was always cold in there. It was smelly.
Yes.
It was hard floor. I remember, like, at times, like when we were stretching, and like when your bare bone touches like a concrete or wooden floor, it's not a very nice feeling, because we didn't even have, like, in the kickboxing gym, we didn't even have mats or anything. So it was sort of like, it symbolises all of that, all the shit times of waiting outside in the rain, and because obviously at the time I was like running there and like walking back and stuff like that. So it symbolises all of that. And the training sessions, I used to get up, obviously I've told you this before, at 5 a.m. So it symbolises every single time where I woke up and I was like, I can't be fucking arsed to get out of bed and go and run up and down the street. So
but
yeah.
That's the kind of thing that I think we all need to have in our lives. Whether it's a trophy, whether it's something written down, whether it's just a memory, you need to have something in your life that symbolises hard work, that symbolises achievement, but from a personal, I did this standpoint. Not because of what you've got, not because you earn a certain salary, not because you earn a certain whatever. You need to find that underneath all of that, and underneath all the gold and all the things given to you, you need to find what is it beneath that that I can find happiness from. So with Lou, for instance, he was saying that the fulfillment he got was the fact that he struggled so much, and even through the struggle, he became a Midlands champion. What is it that can make you recognise how far you've come? And even if you're not there yet, even if you're not at the end goal where you want to be, even if you're not, even if you're struggling right now, you're really struggling, think about, okay, here I am right now, I'm in a place where, I'm feeling like shit, I'm stretching on these horrible floors.
Yeah.
You will eventually get somewhere that you can, if you keep working towards this goal that you've got, you can see the goal. Once you get there, that feeling that you get, as Lou says, he can think back to that however many years later, and it fills him with emotion.
Yeah. And the one thing about that as well is the mindset that I've got now compared to then is now I realise it would have been possible for me to experience joy in that present moment, because I could have had the thought that I am doing what I need to do to win. Even though I couldn't see it at the time, it's like if you break it down into smaller little blocks, it's like, okay, well, this day I can be happy because I literally can't do any more. I've done what I needed to do. Therefore, that in itself is an achievement, and you just repeat that, and everyone knows. Well, not everyone knows, but a lot of people will have something that's springing to mind when we're talking. I know that they will. And it doesn't have to be kickboxing. It could be anything. Everyone's got their own talents. It could be sales. It could be, I don't know, knitting. I don't know. It could be anything, isn't it, really? Someone, you know what's personal to you. And I feel like as we grow older, we sort of, a lot of the times we move away from that, don't we? And we get all these distractions like work, and you're tired, and whereas when you're a kid, it's easier to go towards your goals. Whereas I feel like we're at a stage in our life now where you see behind all the crap, and you're like, I want to do that again now. I want to do something similar again. Yeah. Because I've realised that superficial stuff, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, mate, I completely agree. I've found that once you hit a certain ceiling once you get comfortable, I would say, once you get financially comfortable, once you get into a place where you don't have to panic every month about bills, where you don't have to worry about, like when you're at uni and you're constantly worried about your part-time job and paying for things and paying for nights out. When you get past that and you've got to that point of, okay, I'm all right now. I'm comfortable. I can stay here for a little while. It starts to you almost question why you're doing it.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
So what's the point in me doing all this if I'm just gonna be comfortable? What's the point in me doing all this? And that's where you need to go back inside. You need to go back inside your own brain. You've got to find out. Okay, so now I'm comfortable. Now I've got time to think. What is it that gives me that actually makes me happy? Like, besides the money and besides the cars and the social status and what I own, besides that, what is it besides all the materialistic things that you can get happiness from and fulfillment from?
Yeah, and mate, I 100% agree with that, because I've had times where I've had like, I've gone like Manchester and I've had the worst time of my life. And I've had about 300 quid taken out with me. And then I've had times at uni with all you lads where I've had like a tenner on me and it was £1 a pint, and it's been amazing. So that first of all goes to show that money really don't mean nothing in that respect. But I feel like with the lockdown, it's such a good opportunity for people to actually look inwards and think, well, why? First of all, why am I feeling unfulfilled? It's like an onion, peeling a layer of an onion.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, what is it that's either making you feel down or anxious or depressed? And you've got time. So a lot of the times, especially during lockdown, you hear people say, "Yeah, I'm struggling mentally," and that is very, very, very true. But I do feel like there are ways where we can spend our time more valuably, rather than like, I understand it's great to go on your Xbox and it's great to do all these things, but sometimes you've just got to turn all that off and just spend even an hour or two with yourself and just sit with your emotions. And then that way, when you sit with your emotions, stuff comes back to you where you're like, right, okay, this is what makes me happy. This is what I want to do, and you can sit down and you can write out what your goals want to be, how you're going to do them. Do you know what I mean or not? It gives you a bit more...
Yeah, definitely. I've found that the third lockdown, it's been a lot easier to go back to them distractions. I've found I've been on my Xbox more in this last 3 weeks than I have in the past 3 years.
Me too, man. Me too.
It's too easy to go back and just say, oh, well, we're only in it for a few more weeks, so I'll just distract myself for these few more weeks.
Yeah.
What you need to do is sit in that uncomfortable space and go, okay, so I'm feeling like shit, but why am I feeling like shit? Because we can't just blame everything on lockdowns now.
Yeah.
I can't just keep blaming everything on lockdowns. There's got to be a point where you say, okay, I've got a load of time on my hands. What can I do with it that makes me happy? And
and
in order to find out what that is, you need to find out what makes you happy first.
Yeah, you can't just... You're shooting in the dark otherwise, aren't you? But
yeah,
like you just said, if that what you've just said there is the process of processing emotions and moving on, is sitting with your emotion physically and mentally, and then sitting with it and overcoming it. And literally, that's when you process. It's when you have an emotion and you think, oh, I don't like that, I'm going to jump on my Xbox and get rid of this feeling. Well, guess what? That feeling's still going to be there the next time you get drunk, or the next time you have a slip up. Whereas
next time you have a takeaway.
Yeah, it's much easier to sit there with that emotion there and then, have a bit of time to yourself, process it. Obviously, it might not happen straight away, like you might have to do it a few times and stuff, but it's a lot easier to do that and sort of open up the can of Coke just a little bit rather than shaking it up. And imagine a Coke bottle. If you open it a little bit at a time, it'd just make like a noise, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas if you let your emotions build up, as I did when I had a panic attack, it's sort of like you're getting the Coke bottle, chucking a load of Mentos in there, shaking it up, and then opening it up, and it just blows everywhere. And then you're in a real bad state.
I think at the minute during lockdown 3, there's a lot of us, including myself, who are keeping that bottle lid like closed. Like me going on my Xbox just closes the bottle lid, really.
No, it does, yeah.
Especially if I'm doing it for the wrong... Obviously, let me caveat that. It's if you're doing it for... If you feel like shit, so you're going on Xbox, not because, I want to use this. I've dedicated this time to my Xbox. For instance, I say to myself, you can't go on your Xbox and you can't do this until you've done this, and this.
Yeah.
And I'll always put my happiness first. And what I've found fulfillment and happiness in is that place of struggle. It's that place of working on things, of constantly developing things. So, for instance, things that take place before I even contemplate going on Xbox are a workout, going for a walk, podcast, work.
Yeah.
Anything, I'll put all of these and I'll make sure that I place them at the front and say, okay, you're the people I dedicate my time to. And if I can't spend time on you, I can't go on my Xbox.
Yeah. It's like a little reward system you've got
going
on there.
Yeah, exactly.
Because as humans,
you've got to do it.
Once we complete a task, a productive task, then you can sort of be like, oh, okay, that feels good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like when you go through airport customs and you're all stressed, and then the minute that it goes through and you're fine, you're like, oh, okay, I can relax now.
But it's kind of like that. Think about that first taste of an airport beer.
Yeah, that's why people say that the airport beer is one of the best beers that you can have, because of that reason. Because for some reason, like, we've been taught that you need to get the airport 3 hours before and you need to stress. When in reality, you don't at all. Like, you really don't. Like, I remember when we went out before, I was stressing quite a bit, and I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna get searched for no reason. Do you know what I mean? Other than the fact that for some reason I seem to get searched.
I mean, we did get searched.
I always like. Emily always says it. She was like, "Oh, you've just got that look about you." I'm like, "Right, okay. Is it me shaving my head or whatever?" And I was doing everything I could, like putting all me like liquids in the thing, and then I was worrying, and I got searched anyway. So in reality, there was no point worrying. Like I should have just gone. Whereas now I'm a lot more. I'm just a lot more relaxed. Do you know what I mean? Just you've got to go with the flow. You can't always try and control everything, and that goes back to what we're saying about inner happiness, because all these little distractions just take away from what you actually want. And
they might make you immediately or immediately more calm.
Yeah.
And like immediately a little bit more, like you going on your phone and playing Candy Crush or whatever.
Yeah.
It might settle your nerves for a couple minutes, but it's not going to make it internally like fulfilled.
Yeah, it's like if you needed stitches and you just put a little bandage on, it wouldn't do anything. But it's the same. It's the same sort of principle, but. I don't know. I do obviously love playing the Xbox and stuff, but I think like Jack says, do what you need to do first, because otherwise it gets to the point where as soon as you wake up, you're like, I'm just gonna go on my Xbox, and then we'll do it tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes and you do the same thing over and over. Whereas if you put yourself in a position where you're like, no, when I wake up, I've got to do a workout and I've got to do this, and then I can enjoy that time. That's much more of a healthy way to live, in my opinion.
Well, imagine if you're on a desert. Because I was just thinking about this. Imagine you're on a desert island, right? You've got nothing, absolutely nothing. What kind of things would you be doing? Now, for me, I'd be working out. I'd be building a hut. I'd be doing all these productive things. I wouldn't even consider playing a game with some sticks and rocks and trying to make a game out of it. I'd be working on things. I'd be making sure that my physical health is important. I'll be making sure that a hut is built, that shelter, food, like all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So why on earth would you be? So if that is, like, fair enough. If you're on a desert island and the first thing you think about is, I want to replicate an Xbox game, I want to replicate Call of Duty, then fair enough. You go play that game. But for me, it's not. And for me, that's how I rationalized it in my head. I was like, oh, okay, what is it at the core? Take everything away. What is it at the core that you want to do? And for me, it's just personal development. Get better.
And it's interesting that you instinctively say that, because as part of my therapy sessions, I was taught that in the African savannah days, that's what we did. We needed to complete tasks to survive and to not feel anxious. If we weren't completing tasks, we were getting anxious. So, and because our nervous systems are out of date, if we complete tasks now, that's why, like, whenever you complete a task, you're like, oh, you do an exam.
Yeah,
as soon as the exam's over, you're like, well, it's like, well, what are you doing there? How are you reducing that stress? Is it possible that you could have reduced that stress before the exam? Do you see what I mean? People like, our nervous system instinctively knows how to calm us down. So I know, particularly for you, you get quite stressed. Well, I don't want to say stressed. I'd say more, it can just have a toll on you, like, physically and mentally, like, in terms of if you're really trying for an exam and then you get
100%.
But all that is doing is it's replicating building a hut, literally, and then once the hut's built, you're like, okay, I can now go sleep in it and relax. And so, man, to say that instinctively is proof to me that is how all humans work. Still,
that's how you should. If you want to, I was once listening to something that said, if you want to be happy, get a routine. Like, get a routine, and not just a routine of doing the same shit every day. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying a routine of doing something every day that makes you better. That's a routine. Not getting up and bloody taking the bins out.
What? But it can, for some people, if you're that far down, just taking the bins out or just cleaning your room. There's a reason why everyone always says, tidy room, tidy mind, tidy house, tidy mind. That for you, if you're really down low and you've been in lockdown and you've been eating takeaways for the past 5 weeks or something, I don't know, and you haven't cleaned them, it's often like, oh, we'll sit on the Xbox all day and you'll put everything else off. So to just start by taking the bins out and taking and cleaning your room, and then you can start focusing on, right, okay, now I've got a space where I can do my workouts, and I've got a space where I can maybe meditate or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, the Rock has in his gym, he has a whiteboard, and every time he goes into his gym, he writes something on his whiteboard, and I think that that's like a mental. I found it interesting that he does that. Like this multi-billionaire has this cheap whiteboard that he just writes a note on before he starts a session, but it's almost like a checklist in his head to make sure that okay, I'm going to write this to make me inspired to make sure I do this.
Yeah.
Because I considered getting a whiteboard for my room. I just haven't got enough room for it.
Yeah, yeah.
And writing down every day, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this by the end of the week. And every time you physically tick them off, the feeling you get when you cross something off a list is brilliant. But the when you sat down writing one, it's shit. Yeah. Because it makes you think, oh my God, I've got so much to do.
Yeah. The thing is, without, I suppose, in that respect, without writing something down, the brain can very easily distract or rationalise yourself out of it. So that's why David Goggins always says that when he goes to graveyards, it gets sad because there's so many unaccomplished dreams there. Yeah. Because that's what he sees, and it's true, because everyone's as capable as he is, aren't they? We're as capable as he is. Anyone listening is capable of as capable of as he is.
But that's why whenever I have a goal in my head that I'm really committed to, I'll tweet it, or I'll put it in a group chat and I'll say it, and because I know that if I say it and if it's out there in the world, then I'll fucking do it.
Yeah, like it's a little bit of healthy pressure for you, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Because you know that it's not just you that's expecting it, and I think that's kind of what we've been doing, and what we're going to continue to do moving forward is like, well, if you're going to send me a picture of yourself at week 1, by week 3 I want another one, and I want you to look different. So then if you look the same, then it's like, well, what's happened to you, like? Do you know what I mean, or not?
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas if you didn't send that picture, you'd kind of be like, oh, well, you know, it's not too bad, or you could convince yourself that, I have improved, when really maybe you haven't. Maybe you have. I'm not saying you haven't, but you get my point, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. But that's why I'm so obsessed. Maybe the wrong word, but obsessed with numbers and with things that I can obviously see differences in. Because if I stay static for too long, it really aggravates me, and it really gets on my, like, it eats away at my brain, and that's why I'll always have about 17 things on at the same time. And the reason is, it's not because I can't stick to anything. It's because I can't physically just have one thing going on.
Yeah.
I can't just have this one. Oh, you've just got this one project. Go and work on this project. I need like 5.
Yeah.
I need like 5 or 6, because I put so much into, and that's what gives me fulfillment. This is what I know deep down makes me happy. Yeah. It's that feeling of constantly ticking things off your list and constantly improving, constantly being a better version of you. That's what is my fulfillment.
And I suppose deep down you know what your workload can be. So if you're just doing one thing, you're like, I know I'm capable of a lot more than this. Therefore, I want to take on more projects, is what you're saying. Like, everyone has their own comfort zone. And I think for you, if you're feeling like, well, I'm not even touching my comfort zone, then you're probably not going to feel very good, are you?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. This is the thing with comfort zones. Comfort zones are temporary. Comfort zones, you're comfortable right now. If you added something, let's say you added something right now in your life that was, I don't know, speaking Spanish, right?
Yeah.
That'd be really uncomfortable for a while because you don't know how to do it. But the more time passes that you imagine your comfort zone as a circle. There's like this little zone here. The more time passes, the more you speak Spanish, the more your comfort zone will expand.
Yeah, yeah.
Because more is coming into your comfort zone because you're becoming more comfortable with it. So if you are constantly working on yourself and getting new projects and new things and new challenges and new goals, that comfort zone eventually will be fucking huge.
Yeah, mate, you're so right, because obviously I'm learning Japanese, and when you get introduced to a new word, it's horrible. Like your brain just doesn't like it. It's very hard to explain, and then you're like, oh, there's no way that I'm going to be able to get my head around this concept. And then 10 lessons down the line, that concept that you never thought that I'd get a grasp of, that's just become such a normal thing now. Like, I understand it perfectly. It's just so... You've got to realise that the brain isn't always right. In fact, it's very rarely right, especially...
It's very rarely right.
Yeah. It's not... People often trust the brains way too much, in my opinion.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Intrusive thoughts I've spoken about before, where... oh my God, I'm having this intrusive thought, that must mean that's who I am. No, it probably means that's not who you are. Like, the intrusive thought is usually the opposite of what you are.
Yeah.
Like, with me going back to the punching the woman thing, I only had that because that was the least likely situation to ever happen in my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I definitely agree with that.
I think one thing that people... So if you were to like summarize it in its stages, the first thing you need to do is be really uncomfortable and sit in a space where you're finding out what makes you happy. And sometimes that can, like for me, it can just be, just getting better. Getting better makes me happy. Okay, brilliant. Once you've done that, you set them goals. And once you've set the goals, make sure you write them down and you speak them into the universe. Say it to a friend. Say, I'm going to be here by X, or I'm going to do this by X, or something like that. And after that, you've just got to really go for it. You've got to really go for it and tick things off your list.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, I feel like a lot of people do struggle with the first part.
Yeah.
More than the second part, because I feel like as we've grown up, we've all been taught to sort of hide emotions, and when you're crying, it's like stop crying and all the rest of it. Whereas if we were to sit with those emotions, we would have better skills of expressing them in adulthood. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of people don't want to sit there and actually see what's going on, but it's literally one of the most important revolutionary things you could do in your life.
Well, one of the things that we're also always taught is that you need a house, you need a car, you need a something. But once you've got all them things, then what?
Yeah.
They don't teach you that bit, because I've got a car, I've got a job, I've got enough money to live. So now what? What's now going to make me happy?
Those intrinsic values don't go away. You could have all of that, but you're still thinking about kickboxing or bodybuilding in my aspect. You know what I mean? I'm not thinking about, I want to spend it on this and this and this. No.
Yeah.
I want to get shredded. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, if you were a billionaire and money wasn't an option, of course you'd buy like brilliant things. You'd buy like loads of things, but
we're just saying life goes beyond that.
What else would you be doing that actually makes you happy? Like the actual, what is it that, excluding the money, because you can buy anything. So even if you use it the other way around, so you don't look at a desert island, look at, you've got every single pound in the universe. You've got all the money in the universe. Once you've finished buying all the things you like, what would you then be doing with your time?
Well, I saw that statement that Steve Jobs put out before he died, and he was saying about spending time with the family and how lonely he felt and how upset he was that he didn't do more of that, and he was saying, I've got all this money and I'm sitting in the hospital and it's meaningless. All I'm thinking about now is my grandkids and all these other different things, and where I should have picked up on in life, and I should have done this to make me more happy. And it's true, man. It is true. A lot, same with jobs. you can. What would you rather do? A job that you hate for loads of money, or leave that job for something that's sort of a little bit less, but something that you enjoy more, or that's more of your passion?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd rather do the second one, definitely, because you'd have a better quality of life.
Yeah.
You'd be killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think there's a balance to it. I think that because I'm also of the opinion that you can have a job that you don't that you're not really keen on. So let's say you do have
if
a job
temporary, like.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's say you do have a job that's pretty shit, but you're making a lot of money. That doesn't mean you can sit back and go, okay, brilliant, I've made it. That means that once you've got that, you need to be investing in yourself. And you need to be investing in, okay, so now I know that from 9 to 5, I work this job that, I'm not keen on, but it pays a lot of the bills and more, and it gives me savings.
Yeah.
So that time's, let's just say we write that time off. Okay, fair enough. You've still got however many hours in the day. So what are you doing with that time? You need to be investing that money that you're sacrificing for that crappy job. Invest it in yourself, and because I think you can do that for a short time. I think you can make your money and be in a shit job, but I think you can't just sit there for ages and just let it.
And say, I hate my life, I hate my job.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you hate your job, but like you've just said, if it's temporary, then it's paying the bills, but you can use that to your advantage by, like Jack says, afterwards smashing what you want to smash and say, all right then, well, in a year's time, this money that I'm making, because I'm investing this in this is what's going to happen. Like it's
man.
It's not just like, I'm in a dead end job and I don't know what to do in life. It's like, take the plunge, do something. You know what I mean? Like do something different, mix things up. You can't have the same shit going through every day. Like you need, like you said it earlier, didn't you, about routine? But mix the routine up. Do different things. Yeah, you don't mix it up.
You never want that comfort zone to stay static.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's true, because once it gets static, you start getting bored, and then, like before, I can only use myself as an example in terms of like experience, but like I've been lean, and then I've got comfortable being lean, and then because of that, I'm like, well, I don't know what to do now. So then I've ended up putting weight back on. Whereas it's like if I'd have put a goal of, well, now you're lean, let's put on in the next year 10 pounds of muscle, for example. Then it gives you, whereas if you just get lean, you're like, well, what do I do now? I've achieved it. Like Tyson Fury said, he'd got all the belts, and he was like, well, I still feel empty, and I do resonate, and I feel like I felt like that in my life. And then that's when you get to that point, it's a danger. But now, having the experience that I've got, it's a different story, mate. Honestly, a massively different story.
You've got to find what gives you the spark.
The drive.
Yeah.
What gives you life? Yeah. What turns you on? You know?
It's like the Arnold thing. Wide, it's like, that's funny actually, because in that.
Don't say Domino's Pizza either, because that's not productive.
There was that Arnold documentary, wasn't there? Pumping Iron. That's what it's called. And he says, working out and getting a pump in the muscle, it's the same to him as having sex and coming. And it made me laugh. It made me laugh so much.
It's like having sex with a woman and coming.
But if you look at him now, how old is he now? Like 70s, in his 70s?
Yeah.
I saw a video of him the other day. I think it was around like maybe one of the Arnold competitions. And he was going up to Eddie Hall and taking a picture of his calf just for his own, like, just for his own use. Like, he's like, take a picture of that. That's a calf. And it makes me laugh, because no matter whether you're 20 years old or you're 70 years old, that feeling that makes him that he compares. He still has that today. He still loves bodybuilding. It's still...
Yeah, like he's capitalised so much on bodybuilding that like now, like he's still the face of bodybuilding in terms of like the Arnold Classic.
Yeah.
I know you've got the Olympia and stuff, but like
He's earned millions. He's earned millions in films. Absolutely millions. He never has to worry about a penny in his life.
but
And what
like
does
you
he
say,
still do on his
he's
like,
still he's still going around the gym stuff and just like doing the expos and all that stuff because he loves it. Yeah.
But that Arnold is a classic example of someone who just found something that they are passionate about, that they find fulfillment with, and just running with it. And there's so many examples of it.
There is, because like I can't believe we've never spoke about Arnold yet, but he's one of the people in the motivational videos that he talk about, and he's saying, "Oh, I wasn't confident at all," and because from an outside perspective, if you look at Arnie's peak physique, you just think, Jesus, like this guy has got everything.
Monster, yeah.
But it's no coincidence that everyone that's successful all has that hard-working mindset.
Struggle,
Arnie, Will Smith, you know what I mean? Leonardo DiCaprio, whatever your craft is, they all put horrendous amount of time in
sickening.
to actually build.
It's sickening.
Sickening. Like you said, it's the obsession. You have to be obsessed to the point where you're like, if I do not do this, I cannot live. Do you know what I mean? It's important. It becomes as important as oxygen in your life.
You'll never see Arnold Schwarzenegger get fat, ever.
No,
You'll never see him get obese. Because he'd rather die than be obese. His passion for bodybuilding runs so deep. He's had heart. It's like C.T. Fletcher as well.
Yeah.
C.T. Fletcher's had about 7 heart surgeries. I think he's had about like 3 new hearts.
Yeah.
And he's still pumping iron.
I've still seen him like running. And like I saw a video where he ran, and it was like only a few days after his heart surgery, and he fell over and like broke his nose or something. The guy is a beast, and he was saying he was obsessed with building like these biceps that were just crazy.
Yeah, and if we want to be as successful as these people, if we want to have this kind of mindset, and if we idolize these people, the least you need to do is replicate what they've done.
Yeah.
That's the absolute least that you need to do. The absolute minimum that you need to do is exactly what they've done. And you can't even do that. They've given you a roadmap to their self-fulfillment. They've given you a roadmap.
Definitely, and that goes for anything in life, but specifically for like bodybuilding or whatever. If you look at like Arnie and C.T. Fletcher, like they've given the roadmap that you're not just gonna get like an amazing physique just going in the gym with your mates and having a laugh and doing a few sets. And do you know what I mean? Like you've got to push yourself.
Makes me want to watch that Pumping Iron doc again.
Yeah, I think it's on Netflix still.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but again, it goes for like any craft. Like you've got to invest time, haven't you, in effort. Like a lot of it, not just like a little bit, like a lot, because no one else is going to do it for you. And if you don't do it, you've got to live with yourself. And I don't know about anyone else, but like with me, like if I'm not physically where I want to be, then I don't truly feel happy. And and I feel like it could go for like it can go for any craft really. Like if someone doesn't feel where they where they should be or where they could be in anything that they love, then of course they're going to be unhappy. Like it's a given.
You've got to find what it is that if you had all the money in the world, or if you had no money, what is it that you do to make yourself happy? That's the question that you got to ask yourself, and it's a fucking uncomfortable question, but you've got to get the answer to that question. And then once you've got the answer to that question, that is the thing that will be with you forever. It's not going to change, because look at the people who we've just spoken about. They're the people who have that belief to the core of them, but it's only because they found it.
Yeah,
like you can find it; it's there. You just need to find it, what it is, and go after it. And that is how you will find fulfillment from within, because you will never get it from materialistic things. You just won't. There'll never be a situation where you on your deathbed and you think, oh, that Rolls.
Can you remember all that stuff I brought off Amazon?
That Rolls Royce was so worth it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Or going back to full circle. Lou's not going to be sat on his deathbed and think, oh, that piece of gold is brilliant. He's going to think about the trophy and what it meant.
Well,
it's going to be about what it means. It's not about what the object is and what the materialistic thing is. It's about what it means and what it symbolises.
Well, yeah, because to further internalise on what you're saying, if you were in we keep using the desert example. So if you were in a desert and you had 5 gold bars, and these gold bars are worth 10 million each, but you had no water, and then someone walks past you and they've got a year's supply of water. No, let's just say they've got like 10 litres of water, and they say, well, you need to give me all your gold bars. You'd do it, wouldn't you? Because at the end of the day, you're going to die otherwise, and those gold bars ain't going to mean nothing.
It's a very good point.
I know it's a little bit like thingy, but I do feel like we can I know everyone has struggles, but we definitely overcomplicate things sometimes when we don't need to, when oftentimes it's actually very simple. It's just we need to do a little bit of self-reflection and put a bit of effort in. That's the part that we don't really like.
And now you've got this time during lockdown. Do it. Just do it.
Yeah, turn the news off and do it. Stop fixating. That's another distraction and another reason why everyone's feeling so crappy is because of the news, man. I wanted to say that because I don't think I've addressed that, but if you're obsessed with the news, just give yourself a break from it, man, and focus on yourself, because there isn't much that you can do to change it.
I agree.
What were you going to say before that? Sorry, man.
I was just going to finish it off. I was just going to say that you need to do all these things, and you need to make sure that you don't just go away from this podcast and think, oh yeah, I'll do it eventually. You need to go away from this podcast and actually
fuck these guys.
Yeah, and actually sit with them. Actually sit with them thoughts and actually think. Make it a goal to find what makes you happy. If you had all the money, or if you didn't have all the money in the world.
Yeah.
And then after you've done that, go and check up on your strong friend.
Yeah.